Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tina's Workshop, and today I wanted to review a yarn and then make something with it, and I decided that I was going to do a drink cozy, but not a regular cozy. So most of us have things like this in our cupboards. This one's a fabric one. Uh, there's ones like these. I did not actually make any of these. These were all gifted to me. This one I did make. But I mean, we have things like this, but there's like, I mean, yes, it works when you're trying to keep the heat from your hand, but if you're trying to keep the heat in or you're trying to keep a cold drink from sweating, they don't quite work right. So a few years ago, I had been gifted some unfinished pieces that had belonged to a friend's mom. And some of them I finished off and gave back to her as blankets for grandchildren when she had them. But then there were some pieces that I did different things with. Well, I took one of the squares and I stitched it up the back and I put a bottom on it and then just a little tied decoration at the top after I had stitched it up. It's nothing fancy. I mean, it's not attractive at all, but it worked because I can use this and put my hot drink cup into it. And when I do it with my hot drink cup, I either just kind of leave it like this, or I'll literally just fold it down. But when I use it with my cold drink cup, look at that. It goes all the way up. It covers the whole bottom. So it's one, keeping that drink a little bit colder so the ice or whatever lasts longer. But then as it sweats, it's not, every time you set that drink down and it's leaving that sweaty spot, it's not doing that. And yes, if you're in your house, you might have a coaster for that problem. But in the car, it gets in that little cup holder or whatever, wherever you're at. So I use this thing a lot and it needs a bath right now. It is very dirty. I only have the one. So I was thinking that I would use this yarn to make one of these that's a little bit prettier. It's a cotton yarn, so I think it would be great for this. So let me show you the yarn. I was in Joann's the other day and I was surprised to see hanks of yarn hanging there. And at the time I was in there, they only had a few colors and one base. They now actually have a couple different bases and more colors. And I was almost tempted to go in and exchange. And I was like, nope, because I already knew what I wanted to do with this one. But I have a feeling there's a lot of people who generally shop in Joann's for yarn that might not know what to even do with this. People who all they ever use is acrylic, and the only place they shop is like Joann's and Michael's and stuff like that. And they're going to look at it and be like, what? And I had to pause it. So I hope I don't miss something here. Anyway, I was saying that I got to thinking that you have a lot of knitters and crocheters that strictly shop acrylic. They shop Joann's and Michael's and places like that, and probably have never been into a regular yarn store and probably have no idea what to do with something like this. And there was actually some when I went in that day that were hanging like this. So I could tell there was, whether it was adults or kids, somebody had been playing with it. And I'm like, there's a good chance the employees don't even know how to rewrap this. So I don't know how well this is going to go in those stores, but they have, this one is 100% cotton, and they have some that are a merino base, and it is KC. It says premium yarn, KC, knit and crochet, product hand dyed, fiber content 100% cotton, weight and length 472 yards, 3.52 ounces. So 432 meters, 100 grams. And it is a number one, super fine. So if you're a sock knitter, some of these could be done with socks. And it says to use a US 3 knitting needle or a US E crochet hook. But the color is actually really nice. It's got a really nice color blend on it. It's kind of oceany. Let's see, what does it say? Yes, the color is called Summer Splash. So it's very pretty. So we are going to cake this up and we're going to try and make a nice big drink cozy. That'll be great for all our summer drinks. So gotta move Miss Henrietta, she's in the way. Okay, get out of there. See if I can stab myself with the scissors while I'm at it. My biggest problem is I always seem to put these on backwards and then have to flip them all around so that I can get them to unwind off of here. So hopefully I don't have that problem today. Okay, now where was my start? There's one. There's the other one. Okay, I think this one's going to be the start. Okay. This part is fun, but it's also very tiring. So there, I love seeing how the colors come out when you get them all put on the cake. It's a very nice feeling yarn. It does, it feels, you can definitely feel it's cotton. It's one of those that has that fully cotton feel to it, but it's nice. I like the colors in it, consistency and everything. I think it's going to be really nice to use, I hope. So we are going to clean up my little bit of a mess here. And so what's funny is before I put this away, I caked up one more yarn that I had that I was needing to do. And it is merino and nylon. It's 75% merino, 25% nylon. And they honestly feel about the same. If I didn't know this was merino, I would have thought it was cotton just by the feel. So it's a nice soft cotton, but yeah, I found that very interesting. So that I need to set aside because that is a different project. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to knit or crochet this, and if I wanted to double strand or single strand. And I'm still not positive. I think I want to crochet it just because it'd be a little bit more versatile. If you're wanting to replicate it, it's going to be easier for you to replicate and adjust it for your needs if I crochet it. So now, single strand or double strand. The double strand would go quicker. And let's see, it said a size E crochet hook. Let's see, what are E? I'm a visual person. I like to look at it. That one's an F. Of course, my E is not in here. So I need to go to, hold on. Okay, I had to find the bag of hooks, ones I don't use as often. And seriously finding like every size except for the one I want. Why is it there's always one hook size you just can't seem to find? I think I'm going to have to double it just because of the fact I can't find my E hook, any of them. Okay, so let's see. If we double it, find my end. Usually doubling a fingering gives you about a DK. And let's see if I can find my other stuff. I have a list here. My handy dandy little list. Let's see. DK, where are we at? Recommended. F, G. Yeah, I think we'll double it and we'll use a G hook. I like that. I've got plenty of G hooks and I just had one right here. That one my G. No, that one's an F. Darn it. That one's a G. Isn't that pretty? Love that hook. Not the most comfortable to actually, come on, focus. Not the most comfortable to actually crochet with, but it's pretty. Okay. Now I just saw a bunch of G's. Okay, maybe I'll do the F. I'll use my furls F. It's a good way to make decisions, right? This hook. Love my furls hooks. I love my furls Odyssey hooks, they don't make them anymore. I'm incredibly bummed. If you don't know, this one is a Furls Odyssey. Furls were one of the first ones that made the ergonomic hooks, and they're amazing. And I have a few. This is one of their Streamline resin hooks. And the thing about their resin ones, or not resin, their Streamline, is the necks are longer. And I'll actually show you. So since they stopped making the Odyssey, they started making a Streamline metal hook, which is really nice. But you can see here when I line them up, see how much taller that one is, and the height is in the neck. So if you're someone who holds closer, then when you're using this, you're going to be holding at the narrow point, and then the ergonomic doesn't matter. And I guess I must hold closer because I really like this one. And the ones I got that are Streamline are a thicker one, so it doesn't bother me as much. I will say one of the biggest differences between these two hooks is the weight. I was really surprised by how heavy. So I do have issues sometimes with that. So let's see, let me grab an H. So it's a little bit closer because this one's a J. So this Odyssey H is 1.2 ounces. The Streamline is 1.8. So it's not a huge difference, but I can feel that in my hand. It's a lot heavier, but you have the metal through the whole thing, where this is plastic, resin, whatever here. So I'm bummed they don't have the other one, but the person that they had that made the others is no longer doing it, so can't get them. But anyway, I am going to use my F, and I am going to double strand. So while I am finding the center, I will put you down on table and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, get my little crochet yarn bowl. And there is my G hook. If I had just looked in there, I have literally one hook in that thing. That's it, one hook, and it was the G. Well, too bad. I already decided to use the other one. Okay, so I'm thinking we're gonna do, I think we'll do a single crochet base and then do double crochet on the walls. So I'm going to do magic loop, and I chain one and then I flip it over, so I work over the tail, and I'm going to do 6 single crochet into the magic loop. 3, 4, oops, 6. And then pull the tail down. And then two single crochet in each around. I don't place my marker yet because I can count 12 easily enough, and it just gives me a little bit more space to work as I go around that first round without the marker in my way. 4, 5, 6. and then I'll double check if I have enough. And my way of double checking is each one of these double crochets, focus. Each one of these creates a little hole right here, and the hole's the easiest thing to see. So I go back and I look to see if I have 6 of those holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So next row we're doing regular increasing. Let me bring this in a little bit more for you. We're going to do regular increasing. So the next one is going to be a 2-1 combo. So 2 single crochet in the first, 1 in the next, all the way around. After I do my first one, get off of there. I will place my marker in that first stitch, so I don't have to count now. So 2 in the first one and 1 in the next, all the way around. Okay. So now we're going to do our next increase and we're going to keep doing traditional increase. So the next row will be 2 single crochet in your first one, and then single crochet in the next and the next. And that's going to repeat all the way around. And then the next row after that is going to be the same, but you'll be doing 3 single crochets in between your increases. The next row will be 4 in between your increases. So that's going to keep going until we get this to the size that is going to be the size we want for the base of our drink. So these two, let's see. This one is 2.5 inches and that one is 2.25 inches. I want mine to be able to fit both of these. So I'm going to do the larger one. When it goes on to the smaller one, it just means that this is going to curve up around it a little bit, which is fine. So I'm going to go to the larger size, over there, larger size. So 2.5. I'm just going to keep doing my increases in that manner until I get that size. If you don't have the measuring tape, you just hold it over the top till you get to that size. Then we'll work our sides. Okay, so for me, I went up to a 4 increase, and you can see that is perfect on the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the next row is going to be just a plain single crochet, 1 in each stitch. And then the row after that, I'm going to do a double crochet, 1 in each stitch. So still move that marker, because when we come to the next round, we're going to actually want to chain up. We want to know where the beginning of round is. Okay, so we're back at the beginning of the round, and move the marker. We're going to slip stitch into that first one. So we're nice and even around, and then we're going to, I chain 1 and give it a little tug. And then we're going to work double crochet back in this same stitch. And we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so now we're going to come up here, get right in that top, slip stitch. So you should have something that looks like this. And that lighting is not the best, but let's see if I can adjust it a little bit. That's a little bit better. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this at the moment. So we now have the base, and we're starting to come up on the edges. So to give it a little bit more springiness, we're going to do a front post, back post, so we end up with a rib. So we are going to chain just 1, and we're going to do a front post, double crochet, and then a back post, double crochet. And we're going to repeat that all the way around, creating our rib. If you have not done this before, you're doing a regular double crochet, but instead of into this top stitch, you're coming around the post. So the front post is coming around from the front, and the back post is coming around that same post, but from the back. And otherwise you do your double crochet the same way you normally would. So you can see how it creates a little ribbed effect. So this is one of the 2 ways I know of that you can create a ribbing style stitch in crochet, like this one and this one are both a rib in knit. No, hold on. No, this one's crocheted. I'm not positive. This one is commercially made, so this one is probably, don't really know how they did this one. But this one, looking at it, this one's actually a crocheted. This is what we're doing, a front post, back post. I glanced up and thought it was a knit rib, but it's not. Oop, I dropped a stitch. That's the only thing about working with the two strands, is having to pay attention. You don't drop one of those. As long as you don't drop them, it's just fine. Now, I'm not giving you any stitch count because depending on what size you increased your base to is going to depend on your stitch count. And if you decide to use a different type of yarn, you can do this with any type of yarn, any hook size. That's up to your discretion. I guess that would be a good word for it. So you could do this in anything. It's kind of like my easy crocheted hat I did. You can do it with any yarn, any hook, whatever. So I just happen to be doing this with the fingering held double with the F hook because that's what I ended up just landing on. But you can start it the same way, no matter what you're using, and work that base till you get to that size you need for the bottom of your cup. And then just work up from there, just like we're doing here, because we're working in the stitches evenly. Now you can still use a stitch marker if you want, but you should be able to tell now, because we're using a taller stitch, where your beginning of round is. And I've seen some cozies and they're like can cozies and stuff like that, but they have a little bit of an open hole in the base. But I like this solid because then when you have something that sweats, you don't have anywhere that it's going to be sweating out. Okay, so I am back at the beginning and I ended on a back post, which is good. It's not a big deal if you don't. If you have two next to each other that are the same, it's really not a big deal. I have had that happen many a times, but this one happened to land properly, so we just slip stitch into the top of that next one. So this is how it's looking now. When we set our cup into it, we can see how that's going to work. So we're going to keep working this same pattern up, and we're going to, as we get up a little higher, we'll try it on again. And if we get to a point where it starts to feel too tight, then we'll do some increases so we can bring that out a little bit more. So I'm going to keep working for a ways and then come back to you when I get up a little bit higher. So your next round, just in case you're not sure, you're just going to do that one single crochet again. and you're going to do the same stitch you did on the previous. So this first one was a front post, so you're going to do a front post again. And your next one was a back post, so you're doing a back post on it. So whatever stitch you come to, whatever it was, you're going to do that same stitch again, which is going to create these tall ridges like this. So these are all front posts here. The peaks and then the valleys are the back post. So they poke out on the back side. So just continue with that around and increasing your rows. And I'll meet you back in a few rows. Okay, so this is like working up really nicely. I really like the way that looks. You can see the ribbing now, and it's on there really nicely. Let's see. Let's put it on the other one. Oop, not you. There you go. So we're just going to keep doing this. But I think where I'm at the moment, that I am going to go ahead and weave this bottom end in while I'm still closer to that end, so I don't have to flip this out so far. So that's already was around once from when we first did that. Then I like to go around it one more time, and then I weave in reverse just a little bit to lock it in, and go ahead and trim it off. So now I can continue to work and not have to worry about that later. That's done. So flip that back, and I'm just going to keep working a number more rows, and I will come back to you in a few rows. Okay, so I took a little break, had some ice cream, made myself a cup of tea, and kept crocheting. So I really like, even using the double strands, this is getting a great pooling in it. Look at the way the colors are pooling. And you got these little stripes of color. I really like the way that's looking compared to the bottom, you know, but I'm at just the right amount of stitches that it's been pooling really nicely. So I've gotten a little bit further, not a whole lot, a few more rows than when I last clicked on. And I have not increased at all, but you know, we're doing this ribbing kind of technique. So let's see, put this one in it. There we go. And it's still working really nicely on here without having to be increased. And this one, look at that. See, it just stretches really nicely right to what you need. So far, I'm just going to still keep working, and I'll keep trying it on to make sure that it's going to work okay and stretch out, because I don't want to add a bunch of extra stitches and then make it really loose where it's going to come off of one. And this one, when I did it, I mean, it was a square, rectangle, whatever. So there was no increasing to it. It was just the one size. So I'm going to keep going and see where we get. I'm going to make the height, I might have already said this, I'm going to make the height to this one, because then we'll just have a little bit of extra at the top on this one, which is fine. but then I don't have that extra bulging out or needing to be folded over like I did on the other. So I'm going to make it to this height. So I've got about that many more rows to do. So I will be back shortly. Okay, so here's where I'm at now. And I've been holding it up to my cup. And I think that's at a good spot. Now, I have not done any increases. And we're going to see what happens. It's either going to work or it's not. Haha, look at that. Right up to the top. That is like perfect. That's awesome. I love the way this is striped. Oh, I really like that. I like the feel. It actually has a really nice feel in this yarn. And it is stretchy enough that that's going up there and it's not coming off. Okay, let's try the other one. This one gets a lot bigger. Let's see how it does. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That actually stretched really nicely right around it. And it leaves that little space, which is fine, because if this is sweating, it's going to run down to here before it gets on anything else. So I think that is going to work just fine. Oh, I really like this. Okay, so now to finish it off, I am going to, personally, I'm just going to snip. And then you guys have seen me do this before. Okay, so I just snipped it. I'm not putting an extra, I'm not pulling it through again. I'm leaving it right the way it is. And I'm going to actually pull that out. So do you see how it almost, the stitch looks unfinished? So then pull the stitch back this way. And you can see how that top one will line up. And this is going to come right here. So to this next stitch. So I'm actually going to take my crochet hook, poke it through, wait, hold on, let me look again. This one. I'm going to poke it through, grab the yarn, and pull it back through. Then I'm going to come in from the back bottom into that first loop, grab the yarn and pull it back down through that one. And that finishes that stitch off right there. So you don't even see where that stitch is. It totally disappears. So it leaves a nice smooth edge right there. And then you just take this and you, oops, right there, take that and weave it in as normal. Now, if you wanted to, you could do a decorative stitch up here and, you know, make it all fancy and pretty or something, but I think I want to leave it just the way it is. I like the straight, I like where it's at on this cup. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Plus I like the stretchiness, and I'm afraid if I go and put some other stitch here, I might lose some of that stretchiness, and I need more of the stretchiness at the top of the cups. So I'm going to just weave that in. Now, when I do the front post, back posts, I actually like to go right down through the post stitches. Instead of going across the row like this, I like to go right down through the post stitches. Again, this is just how I like to do it. You do not have to do it this way, but that's what I like. And then come over a bit and go back up, lock it in, and then snip that off. There you go. Oh. stand the whole little thing up. I really like that. I really like how that came out. So it doesn't look like when you do this, it doesn't pull that much, but it's enough for putting it on those cups. So let's see, here it is on the little cup. I've had these cups for years. Don't know if you saw some of the stickers are even coming off because I used the Cricut on them a long time ago. And I put yarn hoarder, and gosh, I don't know how many, that probably like 6 years ago I put the stickers on them. I've had these for a really long time. And you guys have seen some of my cups that my nieces made me. They're really nice cups, but the tall ones, I usually only put water in them. And then my short one that she just gave me, my newest one that's more of a mug style, that one I do put the hot drinks in, but it does not hold as much as this one does. But I have found myself personally, I don't like to put anything, especially anything that has milk in it, in the ones that have a rubber seal to them, because stuff gets behind that seal and then it can, get all icky. So I generally only put water in them. That's just my own personal preference. And now I do put the tea and stuff in the small one, but again, it doesn't quite hold as much as this. And that one works pretty nicely. I like that one. But when you get the bigger ones that totally seal, and they keep the stuff hot and it works great. But the only thing I've found is I generally put cream or milk into my tea and coffee if I happen to have coffee. I like the milk in it. And when you keep that hot too long, it starts to sour. And all of a sudden I'll pick up my drink and I take a drink of it and I'm like, ugh. If I have it in this one, yeah, it gets cold faster, but I'd rather drink cold coffee that's not spoiled or cold tea than hot that is spoiled. And when it gets cold enough, then it's like having that iced tea or iced coffee. So I actually kind of like these in the sense that they do let it get cold. Now, if I don't have the milk in it, it would be fine. But when it has the milk in it, it just, it's not, I'll leave the top open so that it gets cold. So anyway, so I like these. I like how much it holds, and I don't mind the fact that it gets cold. But I like this. This works really nicely. So it comes right up to the edge. It's going to cover that whole thing. And then to be able to switch it and put it on the other one and use it for the cold cup. I do like to sometimes do, some fun cold drinks, make my own blended drinks at home or something. And one of my biggest things about using the cups like this at home mostly is the fact that they sweat. So unless you have the coaster to put them down on, which then you still got to make sure to clean that coaster because it's all wet. So this will hold it. I think the cotton will work really nicely with that, and it's super easy to wash it. So I really, really like this, and I will write up the pattern and put it on Ravelry. But I mean, you can go back and look at this. We started with 6 single crochet in our magic ring and increased out to the size we needed. I increased out to a 4 increase, so it was 2 single crochet in one stitch and then 1 single crochet in the next 4 around. So that's what I increased to. The next row was a single crochet row, then a double crochet row, all 1 in each. And then I started the ribbing and did the front post, back post all the way up to the height that I needed it at. So very, very simple. And you can make these up as gifts. As far as how much yarn I used, let's see. I was working from both strands, so almost see through it. Let's see if I squish it here. How about that? You can see there's still quite a bit. I could make I would guess you could probably make at least 2 more, if not more, doing it the way I was doing it. And again, you could use any yarn you want, any crochet hook you want, anything like that. So you could do this with the single strand, um, and just use that smaller hook. And you could do the thick yarn all the way up like this if you really wanted to, um, and make a really thick one. You could do some theme like this one, how it had been a pumpkin. You that would be so easy to do, and just do this whole thing orange and then add the little uh, stem and curly Q leaf. That would be super easy. This one I had done at Christmas time. I did this one probably close to 10 years ago. I had made one for myself and one for my mom. I had made a hat with this on it too, but you could do something like that, do something Christmassy, use the sparkly yarn. Can you see the sparkle in that? I love that. I have a whole bunch of sparkly yarn. So you could do sparkly yarn, but anyway, I really like how it came out. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. If you have, make sure and click like and subscribe and notify if you'd like to be notified when I upload. I generally upload my projects on my projects or travels on Wednesdays, and on Saturdays are my podcasts, so you can see what else I've been working on behind the scenes. And oh, in case you hadn't noticed it, look at this cute shirt I got the other day. Isn't that cute? I found that at REI, and it cracks me up because, oh wait, get the right side. Okay. He is being led by the carrot, but he has a backpack full of carrots. So when he catches this one, he can put more out. So basically he's leading himself. And then he's got a watch on and little snowshoes. They had 2 different colors at REI, and they also had one that was the tortoise. And I forget what all the tortoise had, and some other stuff too, but I thought the tortoise and the hare were the cutest. So anyway, my little shirt for the day. So I hope you guys have all had a good time, and come back for whatever I do next time. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye.